Jewish Channel's Week in Review. What an NPR executive was caught saying about Zionist media ownership. The granddaughter of Jewish humor is telling the world about it. A museum changes its colors. And more of the Jewish news that's changing your world right now in this episode of the Week in Review. Hello, and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. The Jewish holiday of Purim is more than a week away, but we're already in the spirit here at the Jewish Channel because Purim-related videos can already be found on the internet. The Maccabeats, an a cappella group based at Yeshiva University, had a big hit with their cover song for Hanukkah last December, which revised the hit song Dynamite by Tayo Cruz as Candlelight. Well, now they've released a video for Purim based off of the song Raise Your Glass by Pink. Given Purim's association with drinking, they didn't need to change the song's title. Here's a sample.
Your glass, just come on and raise your glass.
Esther became the queen, cause God was pulling strings from behind the scenes. She wore the royal crown.
But whether or not you're the Maccabeats, it seems Pink's Raise Your Glass song is the anthem of the Purim holiday this year, as there is another cover of the song Raise Your Mask by an Israeli performance group, the Fountainheads, with this video featuring more than 100 dancers in the Holy Land. Of course, true aficionados of the musical artist Pink already know that the song came with a Jewish joke in it. In Pink's video, she awakens next to a Hasidic-looking fellow, while other religious leaders wait in line. But Purim videos are often less about music than they are about comedy, and this one from the Jewish Theological Seminary, which pits Chancellor Arnie Eisen as Sesame Street's Ernie and Professor Bert Visotsky as Bert, is quite amusing and brings the classic themes of the Ernie-Bert disputations to the issue of sharing Hamantaschen. If you're looking for more of a Sesame Street kick this Purim, the new Israeli version of the show, Shalom Sesame, has a Purim story that you can view on YouTube. And while there will surely be many more Purim videos this year, there's a news story built on a prank video from right-wing activist James O'Keefe, who produces gotcha videos about liberals. In his latest video, he had two actors pose as representatives of an organization funded by the Muslim Brotherhood and set up a meeting with two leading executives of National Public Radio, or NPR. The two-hour conversation occasionally turned to topics of Israel and Judaism, and here's one clip in which the actors describe NPR's coverage of Israel-related topics.
The Palestinian viewpoint, since NPR is one of the few places that has the courage to really present it, that there's kind of a joke that we used to call it National Palestinian Radio.
Just afterward, one of the executives describes the Zionist ownership of newspapers.
I'm not too upset about maybe a little bit less Jewish influence of Jewish money in NPR, but Zionist coverage is quite substantial elsewhere. So. But
I don't actually find it at NPR.
What exactly?
The Zionist or pro-Israel, even among funders.
Nobody really?
No.
Pro-Israel?
I mean, it's there in those who own newspapers, obviously. But no one owns NPR. So I don't find it.
One of the executives in the video, NPR President Ron Schiller, had already announced his imminent departure from NPR for an arts organization in Colorado when the video was released. He made that resignation effective immediately after the video came out. The CEO of NPR, Vivian Schiller, also announced her resignation as a result. A statement from NPR in response to the video stated, "The fraudulent organization represented in this video repeatedly pressed us to accept a $5 million check with no strings attached, which we repeatedly refused to accept. We are appalled by the comments made by Ron Schiller in the video, which are contrary to what NPR stands for." Mr. Schiller announced last week that he is leaving NPR for another job. In a very different kind of being caught on tape, you might remember the opening scene of the movie Snatch, in which diamond robbers dressed up as Hasidim to gain entry into a secure warehouse while hiding weapons on their person. Some diamond dealers in New York City apparently thought the idea was too good to remain just a movie scene. As you can see in these security camera images, two men dressed as Hasidim are robbing a jeweler of his goods. But the story gets even weirder. The two men performing the robbery were actually hired by the jeweler being robbed, as the company was facing significant debt and wanted to perpetrate insurance fraud. The owners of the company have been found guilty on 7 charges from grand larceny to insurance fraud and face as many as 15 years in jail. But whether one's engaging in burglary or just going about one's day, there might be good reason to want to be an observant Jew. The New York Times reports that observant Jews are, on average, among the happiest people in America. Based on regular surveys from the Gallup organization, the Times asked Gallup to create a composite version of the happiest person in America. The answer, quoting the Times, He's a tall, Asian-American, observant Jew who is at least 65 and married, has children, lives in Hawaii, runs his own business, and has a household income of more than $120,000 per year. And the Times found such a man. Alvin Wong is a, quote, 5'10", 69-year-old Chinese-American kosher-observing Jew who's married with children and lives in Honolulu. Someone else who found happiness in being Jewish was the Yiddish author Sholom Aleichem, and his 99-year-old granddaughter is going to teach a course in Jewish humor. Christian Needon reports.
Hunter College is much larger today than when Bel Kaufman graduated back in 1934, yet this 99-year-old alumnus recently returned to teach a class on Jewish humor titled 6 Weeks of Laughter, employing the experience of a Jewish upbringing spent among literary giants and her own success as a writer, including her 1965 novel, Up the Down Staircase. Kaufman told me she enjoyed sharing her knowledge with a younger generation, but wishes they would loosen up a little bit.
When I saw the small group of such nice-looking people, I discarded my lectures. I got us to sit in a small circle and just talk. So we talked about Jewish humor, and I was very funny, but they didn't laugh much. You know why? They were taking notes.
And it's hard to blame them, since Kaufman has known some of the towering figures of 20th century Jewish literature, starting with her grandfather.
My grandfather, Sholom Aleichem, I can talk about him because I'm very old, and I am the only one alive who remembers him. I was 3, I was 4. Nobody else does. When I'm gone, there'll be nobody who sat on his lap or listened to his voice or felt the warmth of his hand when we would walk. He used to tell me, the tighter I held on to his hand, the better he wrote. So if you enjoy his work, I get the credit. I held on very tightly.
To hear more from Bel Kaufman, please tune into the full broadcast edition of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Christian. Another story of Jewish legacy is being told at the Yeshiva University Museum. Rebecca Honig-Friedman has that story.
Art may not be a subject one often thinks of as central to an Orthodox educational institution like Yeshiva University, but at the Yeshiva University Museum, Director Jacob Weiss sees an opportunity to showcase another side of YU.
We're not a museum that presents Orthodox exhibitions, but we very much echo and reflect the ideals of Yeshiva University as an institution that is interested in rigorously exploring the depth and the richness and the reach of Jewish tradition.
Originally housed on the YU campus in Washington Heights, the YU Museum is now celebrating 10 years as part of the Center for Jewish History near Manhattan's Union Square. And in honor of the center's 10th anniversary, the museum is presenting 0 to 10, featuring treasures from the collections of all 5 of the center's member organizations: the American Jewish Historical Society, the American Sephardi Federation, the Leo Baeck Institute, and the YIVO Institute for Jewish Research, in addition to the museum.
Really a highlights presentation, and focusing on the first decades of centuries allows people to experience episodes, in a sense, of Jewish history in these broad swaths of time, and to see really the dramatic changes that have occurred through beautiful and important documents and works of art.
Those highlights include an early draft of the Emma Lazarus poem The New Colossus, which was later inscribed on the base of the Statue of Liberty, a Torah scroll that belonged to the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Hasidism, a letter from Thomas Jefferson to early 19th century Jewish community leader Mordechai Noah, and assorted other significant art and artifacts, most of which are not usually on view. But where this exhibit showcases relics of the mostly distant Jewish past, the YU Museum is also committed to exploring more recent Jewish art, as in a retrospective of 20th century expressionist painter Sam Borenstein, who lived and worked in Montreal as part of a community of Jewish artists and intellectuals there. While another current exhibition, There Is a Mirror in My Heart, Reflections on a Righteous Grandfather, features art so contemporary, it's still happening.
I come in one day a week, Fridays, and I sit down and I start drawing.
Artist Sebastian Mendez' 6x6-foot work in progress will eventually consist of 30,000 names, a kind of tribute to his grandfather, Aristides de Sousa Mendes, who, as the Portuguese consul general in Bordeaux, France in 1940, issued approximately 30,000 visas to Jews and others seeking to escape persecution by the Nazis.
He worked around the clock, maybe 16, 18, 20-hour days for several days in a row. And when he completed the job, he had gotten visas into the hands of every person who had been there hoping to get one.
For more on Sebastian Mendez' work and the Yeshiva University Museum, watch the full broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Rebecca. Finally, a new revelation regarding an item from last week's newscast. Charlie Sheen, who was criticized for potentially being anti-Semitic when he used the Hebrew name of his producer in an interview, says he is in fact Jewish. Sheen discussed his Jewish roots in an interview with Access Hollywood, saying, "My mom is Jewish, so I guess that would make me Jewish, and my children Jewish, and Brooke, my ex-wife, is Jewish." Sheen is presumably trying to create an argument that if he's Jewish, he can't be anti-Semitic. It's an argument that some people might agree with. Unfortunately for Sheen, one argument everyone would agree with is that being Jewish doesn't make you any less likely to be a target of ridicule in a Purim spiel. That's all for this week. From all of us here at the Jewish Channel, be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable: IO Optimum Cable Channel 291, Time Warner Cable Channel 528, RCN Channel 268, Verizon Fios Channel 900, and Cox Cable Channel 1. For more information, visit tjctv.com.